So we're here from Lyca Radio today, and we are going to be talking to Nitin Sawhney and Naughty Boy about the brand new film, What's Love Got to Do With It? So Nitin, I'm going to start with you. You're not new to working on film or TV. How does it make you feel being able to work on a British film that brings your own culture to the forelight?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. It's great, and I always want to work with Shekhar Kapur, who I think is a genius. I mean, he directed three of my favourite films, Bandit Queen, Elizabeth, and Elizabeth the Golden Age. But he's also not just erudite; he's incredibly sensitive and psychologically very astute in the way he brings out characterization. But also, working with Jemima, working with Naughty Boy was fantastic because he came in with Shekhar. And I think it's exciting, when you say my own culture as a British Asian. I'm from a Hindu background, from India in terms of my heritage, but this feels very resonant, I think, with anyone from the diaspora who's going to identify with a lot of the issues in this, and that whole sense of connecting and culture clashes as well as culture connection and discovery of identity in new ways. Thinking about what identity is. How people connect, what love is in a lot of ways as well, and the nature of how it grows as a process with some people, and how it actually is very much about instant connection with others. And I kind of think there are many questions asked in this film on so many levels, not just through the really great script from Jemima, but also through the different ways in which the actors and the characters really bring out a lot of ideas and emotions that are relevant to us as human beings, not just literally divided in terms of nationality.
And of course, from a music point of view, when you're working on a film, how much room are you given creatively to actually build because you're bringing the music, you've got the script already, you've got the actors there, but how much creativity are you given?
Do you want to?
I think that we started as we meant to go on in terms of like Mahi Sona was the first song that we wrote, and that features Rahat Fateh Ali Khan, that we're both obsessed with that lineage, not just like from Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan to, but I'd say the whole process began when Jemima sent the script, and it was a script about a Pakistani boy who falls in love with Zoe. But no, they don't talk about it, and also is getting an arranged marriage. It felt very personable to me, as in like 10 years ago I was supposed to have an arranged marriage unless I made some money and had a job. Luckily I did, but it taught me that marriage shouldn't be a chore. It should be something you're looking forward to. And that began the process of making music for this, and then and also making music with Nitin, who I've been like obsessed with. I've been stalking him since I was in college. And then doing something together, but also keeping all the values of the film, but also the future values of like, how do we like change things, how do we progress things, you know what I mean? So hopefully when people hear the soundtrack and the original songs, they'll think, oh, someone's thinking ahead, but also trying to be classic.
In fact, there's a line in the film where they're talking to the matchmaker and he says, I'm a doctor, when Kaz says, I'm a doctor. And the reply is, oh, you're at the top of the table sort of thing, Do you feel, as a music producer, because it's a very out there sort of, it's not your general doctor or dentist or accountant, do you feel that within arranged marriage that's still important as to what career you do?
I don't think so. I think like, I personally have a responsibility to change the rhetoric of, oh, he's a doctor, to, oh, he's a producer. Like we can be brown, we can be everything. We can also be like music producers, and we can celebrate that. Like, let's add that to the genre of accountants and doctors.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, when you're young, any Asian person will tell you, especially a lot of Asian people brought up in this country will talk about the pressures maybe that they might feel when they're young to actually conform to careers that are recognised as being respectable careers or whatever, and whether that's law or medicine or accountancy or those kinds of things. But I think that in a way is a lot about our parents protecting us and wanting the best for us. And I think you have to read it in that way. You know, I mean, it's funny because I studied law and I qualified as an accountant. But I kind of, having said that, you know, I was
He's
always
at the top of the food chain.
I was
at the very top.
I was always a musician, and that's the way, you know, my brain's always worked. And I kind of think, and it's fascinating to me because music is the biggest teacher of all, you know, and people don't understand this. Einstein said that relativity came to him through his musical intuition, not through maths or physics. And actually, you know, the way in which music informs you. I mean, I've even used calculus in the way I actually work out music for orchestras when I've actually written film scores and I have to change the tempo at an accelerating rate. You know, there's all kinds of things that music teaches you. If you look at Bach, he used fractals, he used different ways of inverting mathematics in order to achieve what he did. If you look at what Indian classical music is, you have to think about dhis. Dhis are mathematical phrases that land on the first beat of a given time cycle. You can't understand Indian classical music without having a profound knowledge of maths.
If accountants and doctors are superheroes, we're the real superheroes. No, but I just deep it.
You're the superhero.
No, as in like, because like, why can't we be like top of the food chain just because I think we fulfill our souls more. As in, if I was an accountant, like, how much can I add up? Like, there's only so much.
I'm top of the food chain because I fill my stomach more. So basically, yeah. I mean,
Okay, so let me put it this way. So I grew up, obviously I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
Neighbors and friends would tell my family, "Oh, music's haram. Like, tell your son he should get a proper job." But then last October, music for this film took me to the Red Sea Film Festival in Saudi Arabia. Beautiful time I had, but it also took me to Makkah, and I did my first Umrah. And then 2 days after that, I was able to do Umrah for Mum because Mum can't travel. So if music's that haram, how did music take me to Makkah?
I mean, music for me has taken me to meet Nelson Mandela. It's taken me across the world. It's taken me into incredible places, from churches to mosques to Hindu temples to all kinds of places, as well as actually meeting people, Aboriginal Australians in Arnhem Land. I've met Native Americans. Through music, I've met the most spiritual, profound people I've ever come across. And I think music is a magic that you take with you wherever you go. So from that point of view, I think it certainly transcends any kind of career path. It's much more than that. It's a spiritual existence that actually allows you to commune with the universe.
And when the neighborhood Asians were saying to my mom, "Oh, music's haram," she used to say to them, "But he makes music dil se." And that's what's
yeah.
I think in this day and age as well, DJs make more money than half the accountants out there anyway. So as a final question, people don't realise how important music is in film. So you have your scripts, you have your actor, they bring that all to the screen, but it's the underlying tones of the music that really carry that forward. Do you feel that when you're making music for film, you still have that same creativity as you would, say, if you're making a song or if you're doing, I don't know, a concert or something like that? Do you still have that same creativity, or does it limit you slightly?
So I've written music for films for 30 odd years and for television and so on, and I also make albums. I also tour with my band. And the thing is that writing for film, everything is different. So when you're writing for film or television, you're exploring a different way of thinking. You're working collaboratively with directors, and you're trying to help them to fulfill their vision.
Yeah, it's more visual.
Yeah, and it's also about their understanding what they're looking for, and it's also an exercise in humility, because you can't come with your ego boosted up and you're kind of sitting there thinking, okay, my music has got to be the main thing. It's not. It's serving the idea. But when you're making an album, it's very different to that. And when you're touring, you're putting your own music forward. There's an interesting thing with the classical composer Schoenberg. He actually said that he would only have his music on a film that was made to his music. He wouldn't actually ever score to music, and I kind of think that's a narcissistic way of thinking. You have to be able to, and it's good to do both. For example, I mean, with Naughty Boy, he's actually had you know, there's a beautiful video to Running, you know, the track that he did with Beyonce, and it's a beautiful bit of film, and that can work really well. But it's also interesting as a film composer to find the musical vocabulary that goes with film, and I love that process more than anything. It's an amazing thing.
And just to add, this is the first film I've ever worked on music for, but I'm so glad I did with him. Because like, when it comes to like film music or visual music, it is different to making music for radio. Like as a producer, you can become quite selfish in not your sound, just as in like I have to approve this. But when you're working on a film, it's like there's so many opinions, but every opinion is valid. And when you learn that, it's more
Collaborative.
Yeah, collaborative. I wouldn't say it's as intimate as being a music producer when you're just making songs for the radio, but it's something to learn from, and it's something it can only empower you.
Amazing. Thank you both for joining us on Lyca Radio.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Oh, my mum loves Lyca.